Welcome to the Business Boys Talkin-Business Virtual Power Lunch. Please welcome your hosts, Tyler Price and Brian Magleby.
Man, love these Andex kids. They are working hard behind the scenes. This isn't just like something that you just roll out of bed and make work, and they are making stuff work when we throw them curveballs.
That's right.
Technology, everything. Great job to Alan, Chris, and Haley for everything they do. So, hey, I'm Tyler Price with the Small Business Development Center.
And I'm Brian Magleby with the Idaho Innovation Center.
And we have some great, amazing guests today. First guest that we're going to get talking with that, you know, both Brian and I know who he is, but we didn't know him, right? So we went to our network, and here we go.
Yep. Jeff Newgard, CEO of the Bank of Idaho. They've got some great locations here, I think 10 or 13 locations throughout southern Idaho. And we're excited. The Bank of Idaho is really going aggressively after the PPP Payroll Protection Program. And we're excited to have Jeff on here. We'll be joining him here in just a minute. Before we get to Jeff, they actually posted a video on Facebook. And I wanted to kind of lead into Jeff's segment with showing that video that they did. And it's Bank of Idaho talking about the new PPP program. So let's go ahead and roll that video now with Jeff Newgard, Bank of Idaho.
Good news, the second round of funding for the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP, is now available. If your business is struggling because of the coronavirus pandemic, now's the time to take action. We encourage you to start the process today. The sooner you sign up, the quicker we'll be able to work with you on your application. In the first round of funding, Bank of Idaho secured $96 million for Idaho businesses. As a result, more than 1,000 business owners were able to keep their doors open, and thousands of our neighbors across the state were able to keep their jobs. Even if you used a different financial institution for round one of funding, you can work with us on round two. With Bank of Idaho, you'll always work with local bankers who understand your business and your community. Whether you work with us or not, know that Bank of Idaho is here for you. After all, we're the bank with a heart.
All right. Thank you for that introduction video there.
Jeff Newgard, thank you for your patience today, and also
you're muted, Jeff. There you go.
There we go. Thank you for sticking with us and not saying I'm out of here to my next meeting, because I'm sure you've got a meeting or two going on today. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah, I have a few. But
well, we're glad to have you here.
Yeah.
You guys are, the Bank of Idaho is absolutely aggressively going after this PPP program, and that's kind of what we wanted to talk to you, Jeff. But before we get into that, could you kind of just give us a little history about yourself, where you've been, and what your vision is for the Bank of Idaho?
Oh, sure. Well, I've been here about 5.5 years at Bank of Idaho. So this is certainly home, and love the community. I love Idaho. I grew up in Montana, so not too far away, kind of similar culture-wise, I would say. And but most of my banking career was in Washington State. I ran a little started a two-branch bank. Started with a two-branch bank in Yakima, Washington. Tripled the size of it, and then ended up selling it to a big bank out of Seattle. And worked for them for a while, and really missed community banking, really missed being at the helm. So came out here 5.5 years ago. Vision for the bank has really been, first of all, focusing on culture. Culture is really important in my view, and it certainly has reared its head during this time. During crisis, you really see what your culture is made out of in an organization. And it's really symbolizes with this little heart in the background in our logo. That's what we're about, really, truly, sincerely caring for one another. It has to start with the employees and then go out to our customers, community, and then, of course, it bears out in shareholder value.
That's great. Now,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Before we get into a lot of this, though, Jeff, and I appreciate your vision. You've been here since 2015. Your LinkedIn account has a picture of you standing in front of an old truck that said Newgard Oil Co. So I'm a big lover of old vehicles. I drive a 67 Bug. So was that an international first off, or what truck was that?
A 1952 Ford F2, 3/4 ton. That was my first car in high school. So I grew up behind a gas station for the first like 6-7 years of my life. My dad bought the service station oil distributorship business from my grandfather. And so I just thought everybody's early memories were of air compressors and air wrenches, you know, that roo sound. I thought everybody had that in their living room.
Yeah.
But so that was my grandfather's backup fuel truck. And because I grew up working in the gas station, it was kind of for room and board. I didn't have any money saved up to buy a car when I got into high school. So at 14, I was lamenting to my grandfather, and he said, hey, I've got this old truck in my barn, the old fuel truck. You can drive that. So we got the thing up and running, and I've had it ever since. I'm not ever going to get rid of it. It reminds me a lot of good memories.
And you have that here locally? Because I go to car shows. I'm inviting you out to now. So
you got it, man. I'd love it. Yeah, and I keep the rust on it.
Yeah.
It's
Good. Well, what you've brought to the Bank of Idaho, Jeff, has just been some amazing things. You're so involved in the community throughout the state. Tell us about some of the expansion that you've done in the last few years.
Sure. So there was actually an acquisition that occurred in the Treasure Valley of another community bank. And we really saw that as an opportunity to expand. So in 2019, January, we expanded to the Treasure Valley, and we now have 3 branches there. We have a great team. In 2019, we grew 34% as a whole, as a bank. In 2020, we grew 23%, and that's excluding PPP. So we've been on an organic growth rate that's pretty high, but it's also, we want to make sure it's very measured as far as risk goes. We're open-minded, but we're in this for the long haul. We're not a flash in the pan.
Good.
That's great.
Good. To tell us about what your future expansions. We don't want you to let anything out, but tell us kind of what you're looking at doing into the future as well.
Sure. So COVID has put a wrench in a lot of things. So we're really focusing heavily on our current footprint, really executing, making sure that the customers that we have that are taken care of through the PPP program. In 2020, we took care of about half of those people, about 1,000. Half of those were non-customers that weren't being taken care of by their own bank. So we see that as a huge opportunity to expand. Now, do I have my eye on other markets? Most certainly. We've got a couple of other markets that we're looking at, but we have to make sure we take care of our own. We have to execute on our plan. We are. Our team is doing an exceptional job. Like I said, the culture is phenomenal in how everyone cares for each other. You know, everybody says it, but we really live it. And I'm very proud of our team. So as we continue to grow, we'll look for expansion opportunities. Certainly.
50% not their customers.
Yeah. No, I think that speaks pretty volumes of what you're up to. If you can get half of your PPP loans from non-customers, that people are still looking at the Bank of Idaho to really give leadership. I mean, who planned for this? Like, how do you guys? Because it rolled out, and you banks were put in a tough spot, and there's been some significant pivots. But I mean, you can't plan for it, but in the future with the way you're doing things, do you see that branch footprints shrinking so you don't need as much space to run a bank, or what's kind of some of your?
I do.
I know I'm kind of all over the board there, but what's kind of some of the vision there?
Well, so address your first point is you're exactly right. It was a crisis really when the first PPP round came out. Nobody knew anything. Even I don't know how much the SBA even knew. It was just chaos, and we leaned heavily into it. It was really not easy, and there were some banks that just took the tack that, hey, as more information comes out, then we will see what we're going to do. We leaned in heavy into the unknown, and it was scary for my team. But I said, these people, these small businesses, and this comes from my background living in a small business. These are real people around a dinner table. These are families, and my team really gets it. And they work nights, weekends, up all-nighters, and they didn't do it for me. They did it for that small business. And when round 2 came out, there was 3 rounds there in the first PPP. I said, you guys are tired out. You're worn out. I'm not going to ask you to do it again, but if you want to do it again, what do you think? And my team said, absolutely. We're going to do it for them. For those that didn't make it in the first round, we're going to take care of them.
Yeah.
It brought tears to my eyes to see this true care for one another. It gives me hope for humanity, and it gives me hope that spirit is still alive. And I think this community, Idaho, is a special place. But then to answer your question, as far as what was your second part? Sorry, your second question.
It's kind of the footprint size of banks going forward.
So. Well, that's a great question. More emphasis is on digital, right? This is what COVID has taught us, that we can interact just like we are here. And I think customers are finding that banking electronically is pretty convenient. So I don't think we need I don't think we've needed those kind of big branches for years. But I think tradition has kind of continued. We just continue to do it anyway as an industry. But I've thought I'll bet you 10 years that branches were going to go in the 2,000 square foot and less range. We need to be smaller to be more efficient and more cost effective. Bigger is costly. And I don't think people really want to be hanging out in a big lobby. They want efficiency. They want to get in and out if they even want to come in and out, right? I don't want to go.
They definitely don't now.
Yeah, I don't want to go in a branch, and I work at the thing. I do everything electronically myself.
No, that's. I think that's going to be very interesting to see where that dynamic goes. Not just for banks, for businesses, for everybody. But so first round, you guys just jump in, make things happen. I mean, people really need to realize that banks and the SBA kept business alive because of some of the limitations that were put on us. So now round 2 starts up. Is it a little more clear? Because honestly, I don't know that round 1 has ever been defined on these are the final rules. I mean, it kind of has, right? But do you feel like going into round 2 that there's a lot of clarity? And what's kind of some of your understanding of round 2? If someone wasn't in round 1, can they get into round 2? Those types of things. So
right, so they can get into round 2. There are more. So the first round, there weren't as many qualifications. Now there are more qualifications. So people need to qualify. There has to be a 25% reduction in your income. And what I've been telling customers and non-customers is, don't you worry about that. Submit your application, and we'll get you through the vetting process. You don't need to become an expert on SBA. let's not do that. We're doing that for you. And in fact, I have going through that first round PPP, I kind of saw this coming. I said, you know what we need to do is we need to stand up a really good SBA department so that when the next round comes, we're not kind of scrambling. So we have a system already built, more automated system built as well. And as you can imagine, there are things that we're working through as far as getting things synced up with the SBA. All banks are, but we're in a lot better position, I think, because we kind of saw this coming. So I would just say to a small business, just apply. We have 900 people on our waiting list, and we are processing as quickly, rapidly as we can. People worked on Sunday and yesterday in our bank. People. That's the thing, is people really care for these small businesses. If they're, I would refer my loved one to this bank, not just because I'm the CEO of it. It's because our people really care, and they're going to work hard for you to see that deal gets through.
And I think that kind of speaks again to how many people you helped through the last go round when there really wasn't a ton of clarification. So now we go into the second round, and basically you guys are willing just to step up. So the bankofidaho.com/cares is where people can go on initially.
That's on the screen right now. So
and
yeah,
then
that's great.
The SBA, so the SBA is, I think, doing something, and I'm dangerous with information. So is the SBA kind of stepping up and offering a little something in terms of those people that can qualify for those loans?
I'm not quite sure. Give me a little clarification to your question.
So I'm sorry. So do they have like a little longer grace period on first payments, a little better interest rates, or anything in anybody that might be looking for an SBA or small business loan?
So so not only do you have the PPP, what they're calling the second round, which has qualifications to it, there still exists the 7A product. It's a great product anyway, and the rates are low, and it is a good time. And that's another reason we set up this program. We stood up this department, was because I see a huge need going forward just for your standard SBA loan. So let's not get just totally fixated on PPP. Just because you don't qualify for that doesn't mean a 7A doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They're really good payments and terms. So highly recommend that. And we're ready.
wow. So if people can go onto your website and request, then you'll have someone that will follow up with them, and they will be able to get into the mix.
Yes.
And all of your people that they'll be talking to are knowledgeable about the changes from 1 to 2, and you've trained all of your staff, I take it, with
Yes.
all of the changes that have happened with round 2 versus round 1.
Absolutely. They are very knowledgeable. So we stood up this department, and I have a leader that's running it, that's joined our executive team, and he brought in experts from other institutions. So we kind of built this from scratch, but this is the A team. I mean, these people are elite when it comes to SBA. They know what they call the SOP, standard operating procedure. They know all the rules and regulations. They know more than I do, I can tell you that. And we can help you. That's the nice thing, is you don't have to feel like you have to get an education on SBA. Don't worry about that. Running your business is enough. That's hard enough. Just come to us. We'll take good care of you. We'll make sure you're taken care of, and we're quick. We're not going to dally around.
Yeah.
can you count on the people that when they're helping you? In round one, there was quite a few business that got quite a bit of the money forgiven. Is that going to be similar to what's going to happen in round two? Can people expect similar things that that if they qualify for forgiveness, that they'll be able to get that?
Yes, I believe that to be true. Yeah, and I think because of the qualifications, that's going to be known up front. And like I said, we can walk the customer through all that process.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, we can't say enough Bank of Idaho and their aggression in helping businesses get these loans, and also they're there with you to help you get them forgiven, because the more money that you can get forgiven, the more money that can be infused into people's businesses and keep things going, during these challenging times. We all have faced this over the last 9 months. We've had to make adjustments to doing meetings like this in Zoom and to meeting of in this nature. But I can tell you, Jeff and the Bank of Idaho is very vested, like their logo says, committed to community. And they are aggressively doing whatever they can to help the businesses. Jeff has very prominent here in eastern Idaho, and he's now expanded over into Western Idaho in the Treasure Valley area.
Yeah.
I've heard great things of your locations over there, that you've been accepted very well over there, and you're doing great things over there. So we've, from the Idaho Innovation Center, the Small Business Development Center, we can't tell you how much we appreciate the Bank of Idaho and their commitment to really helping the businesses here in eastern Idaho.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
next
that.
time we do this, Jeff, we want you here live. So
Yes.
Hopefully we'll be able to get you here live. This was the best thing. You do look good with the little COVID fuzz there.
Yeah, you
So
noticed
good.
that.
And if we could put their logo, the website back up here, bankofidaho.com/cares. Jeff, one of the things that we usually end out each one of our interviews with each time is doing it virtually here, is a favorite quote, either business or personal. What would you share with us that the people could be inspired from Jeff Newgard?
Oh gosh, you didn't even give me any time to prepare for that.
Tyler Krupp, come on now.
We sent it to you, but Kyler must not afford it to you. So give us just a favorite quote that you have.
I'll tell you a couple. One of the things that my dad taught me in the service station, and it's kind of a weird quote, but it is something that I've always lived by, and that is never back up to a paycheck. And I'm like, what is that, Dad? Well, he said, if you can't look the person in the eye and you have to back up to it, that means you didn't put your all into your work. So if you put your all into your work and you give your employer or your customer more than they paid for, then you can confidently look them in the eye and know that you deserve the paycheck. And so I've done that no matter what position I've been in. Always make sure the customer's getting the value, getting more than they're paying for, whether it be consultative, whether it be the service, always give more. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the measure of a person isn't in their pocketbook, but it's in their character. And that just comes from growing up on a reservation in Montana. And that's just one of mine. And that's what I love about people.
That speaks volume for you, Jeff.
Well, it's the value of people, and I love people. I love their character, and you can see that during tough times. Through crisis, you get to see beautiful individuals and their characters come out to help one another. I have cried more during this time, seeing how people help people and truly care for one another. It gives me such hope. So,
yeah. Very good. Well, I think that all is encapsulating of Jeff Newgard and the Bank of Idaho. They are committed to the community, folks, and we encourage you to reach out to them on their website and let them help you make sure that your business can not only survive these times, but thrive in these times.
Yes.
So thank you again, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank
and Tyler
you.
Krupp for helping put this together.
Yeah.
We are appreciative of the Bank of Idaho, and we appreciate your time here today.
Yeah, thank you.
Forward to seeing your truck soon too. So
Hey, you
there we
got
go.
it. Yeah, please let me know when you're
Thank
going
you.
to your
Thanks, Jeff.
next one. Thanks.
Thank
All
you
right.
very much, Jeff.
Appreciate you.
Good. Well, we go ahead.
No, yeah, we don't really script these things up, if you can't tell. We just want it to be very very natural about how we do things. Now we are able to take questions, but our next guest is Ruth Schwartz, who is a Small Business Development Center consultant. I'm a part-time one. She's a full-time. And this lady, she just works hard. She just gets in. She won the State Star Award this year. I think it was 95% of the peers voted for her. I mean, it was huge. So.
This is when I described Ruth that she's a genius when it comes to this. Over the last 9 months, Ruth has, in every single meeting that we've been learning about how we can coach businesses better with the SBDC, Ruth has been a standout and always been there as a knowledgeable person with the SBDC. And in fact, today she's going to be kind of just talking about some things that we're going to ask her a few more in-depth questions than we did Jeff on the PPP. And let's go ahead and bring Ruth on
Ruth
if we
Schwartz.
could.
Hey.
Hey, Ruth, how are you? Good. Is she unmuted? I can't hear her.
She muted herself on her own side.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. Sorry
you
about
go.
that.
Now, welcome, Ruth.
Yeah.
She is the state star for the SBDC. Absolutely a great, knowledgeable person. And we're going to talk about this at the end, but I wanted to also introduce it at the beginning here. She's going to be running a webinar at 2 o'clock today. We'll put the link up here at the very end of the show for her to get onto hers, and she's going to be going even more in depth than what she is going to be. We've only got about 10, 12 minutes here to talk to Ruth. So we're not going to get through all of the details that she has. Now, let me just tell you how of a specialist that Ruth is on this PPP and EIDL funds. When I was coming over here today, I actually got an email from the Lieutenant Governor, and she actually sent out Ruth's slide deck that she has for her show. So Lieutenant Governor McEachin, is that how you say it, McEachin?
Yeah.
She's from here in Idaho Falls. I should know that, but she sent out the slide deck, and so Ruth, welcome to yours. You're in your virtual office there at your house. She has been solid in meetings today, so we're lucky to have got a few minutes of her time. So Ruth, can you kind of talk to us a little bit about the new PPP round 2 here, and give people kind of a highlight of what some of the changes and things are with the PPP program?
Sure, I'd be delighted. And besides being horribly embarrassed by all those that praise, this slide deck was produced by a group of people, not just me. So one of a team of people putting this together. So let's talk about PPP. Yeah. First off, everything that we knew about PPP, and maybe your guest who was on before me may have said this as well, and it all bears repeating, of course. Everything that was in place with PPP loans and EIDL loans is still in effect. So the only thing I really want to address is those things that have changed. So if the SBA, if the federal government isn't telling us that something has changed, then it has not. It is the rule of thumb that I'm working with anyway. So here's a couple of things that changed. One is that there is now a second draw on PPP, as well as a reopening of first draw. So if anybody wants to go in and get a first draw, that is available with the same criteria that has always been in effect. Remember, PPP is the payroll protection plan, and the intent of the plan is to keep your employees paid. So 60% of those funds that you would get from a PPP, which would be 2.5 times your monthly average payroll. That's the amount of that loan. It's got to go toward payroll, and that remains the same. It remains for a first draw and for a second draw. The new rules in terms of second draw is that you have to have less than 300 employees. You have to have used all of your first draw of PPP funds. You must have a 25% reduction in your gross receipts. And that is either for one quarter of 2020 versus another quarter, the same quarter of 2019, or if you happen to be any kind of pass-through filer. So if you file a Schedule C or a Schedule F or a K1, so you're a sole proprietorship, a partnership, even a 1099, that you're reporting your income on one of those schedules, you're getting 2.5% of that taxable income, right? You can use the whole year. That's my point. My point is that you can use all of 2020 versus 2019 on a Schedule C, a Schedule F, or a Schedule K1 in order to go for a second draw. The total amount that can be loaned now is $2 million and $10 million between both loans. They won't max you out beyond that. If you have
there's some caps on it now.
Yes, so I think this is all a provision to keep corporate interests out of the small interest pie, small business, right, and to really orient towards smaller businesses and to really go after need. Now, on both EIDL reopening, well, it's not really reopening, but the advances are reopening, and the PPP second draw, they are taking very seriously your need. You must attest that you have a need for this money, and there's a little bit of tough language in the Relief Act about that. One other change is that if your NAICS code, in other words, your job category, excuse me?
This is awesome for the food people because we know they've been impacted.
Right. So for folks with the NAICS code that starts with a 7.2, that's food and beverage folks, you get a little bit more. You get 3.5 times your monthly payroll or income as it occurred in 2019 as compared to 2020. A little bit more going towards all the food and beverage guys. And you didn't ask me about the shuttered venue, because for shuttered venues, they're getting taken care of pretty well. Farmers are now going to be treated the very same as any other proprietor. They were kind of left in the cold first round under the guidance of the USDA, but they're being brought into PPP. And no EIDL advances are being recouped from PPP loans, and that's retroactive. If you've already done your forgiveness and they denied the amount of any EIDL advance money, speak to your lender about that, because they have been notified that that amount will be paid back to them, and that might, in fact, for some of you, satisfy those loans to begin with. A couple other new things that are involved with second draw PPPs. You can actually go in and refinance your EIDL loan or a portion of your EIDL loan if you want. Please check with an SBDC consultant or your accountant before you think about what is right for you. EIDL is at 3.5% over up to 30 years, right? And you'd be trading that for a loan that is 1% over 2 to 5 years, whatever your term was on the first loan. So that might work in your favor, but it might not work in your favor. You have an ability to amend your current PPP loan if you have not applied for forgiveness for that loan. So if it looks like it might be a better situation for you to just get more money on your original PPP loan than to create a second draw, check with your lender about that. They've included 501c6 organizations. If you were left out in the cold last time around, that would be for your first draw. And the Relief Act made it quite clear what was getting very muddy in the water, which is that PPP loans specifically are non-taxable and the expenses that are associated with them are deductible. Well, it could change by the time we get off of this meeting today, because we know that the IRS has had a lot to say about this, and I anticipate that the IRS will come through again. But they have clarified and reclarified this with the Relief Act.
That is one
So
thing
that's
that
what we
we've
know.
noticed with the things with the PPP and the EIDL is that there's constantly changing, and we have a new organization coming into the White House, so there could be some definite changes that we don't know of yet, but that could happen from there. So as you can see here, what she's put here on the screen, that there are quite a few different changes to the PPP and the EIDL. And I can't say enough that you need to work with your organizations, your banking, your financial institutions, as well as the small business development centers to help you if you have any questions on this. That's what we have. Anything else that you'd like to share with us, Ruth?
There's a couple other little changes if I still have time.
Yes, go ahead.
In addition to what is forgivable on a PPP loan, they've added a few things. So it's still 60% towards payroll and payroll expenses. Business rent and mortgage interest are still can be a part of the other 40%, utility payments. But they've also included 4 new things. Property damage associated with any 2020 civil disturbances, any essential suppliers or any suppliers you have contracts with is now a forgivable expense. PPE, any kind of protective gear, and software and cloud computing is now. So paying your internet providers basically and your hosting and that kind of stuff is also forgivable expense. And in they are opening up the really simple to get that EIDL advance, and we don't have a lot of guidance on it yet, but what we do know is if you were eligible, if you applied for an EIDL loan and you were eligible for the up to $10,000 EIDL advance, which, by the way, is not being recouped anywhere that we can tell at this point, certainly not from PPP. I can't find any place else it's being recouped. You could be eligible to get the difference up to $10,000. It is no longer associated with the $1,000 per head employee, so it's just grant money basically. But you have to prove a 30% reduction in revenues from 2020 to 2019, and you have to be in a low-income community as determined by the new market tax credit. So we're waiting for a little bit of guidance on, well, which new market tax credit mapping tool shall we use for accuracy, and what kind of what do they really want to see in terms of economic loss. So SBA is starting, well, they actually haven't mentioned much about this. They're really busy right now rolling out the shuttered venue program right now, but I have a sense that as soon as they get that up and running, they'll turn their sights back to EIDL.
No, so, and no crystal ball, because you would come on our Tuesday calls and things would change from week to week, from day to day, from minute to minute a lot of times. But do you feel like they've really dialed it in, and that the second round is not as fast and furious and it is a little more qualifying? Is that a good way to put it for round two? And at what point do you think people will start seeing that funding?
Well, EIDL or PPP?
I'm sorry, I'm talking about PPP round two. So,
Well, I wish I could have actually heard what your banker was saying before, because certainly the bankers are going to know the inside on that
Yeah.
more than I am.
But the banks are ready for them. They're able to go in there, and it started last week. Is that right?
Yeah, well, actually, they got delayed a week, so now they are up and running. So
Now
they
they're
should
up
be up
and
and running.
going.
Every lender is prepared or up and running. I don't know yet. I don't know. I don't have a sense yet if there's going to be a run on this money. It's really seems to be designed for people who are suffering a loss, and how many businesses are really suffering. I can't imagine there's a food or beverage company who's not being severely impacted. I mean, I think there's different categories that are, you should pull your stuff together and get down there and get going for sure. They're rolling
If you
it out
want the
fast.
help in business, you need to be doing it, especially. And I love that they've given some extra bonuses for the food and beverage people, because everybody, like Ruth said, has been impacted by it. If we want to, could we put the graphic up for this? Is Ruth's webinar that she's going to be doing, and she's going to be going into a lot more detail than what she was able to today. But the registration code is down there. It's happening today from 2 to 3. Ruth is out of our Boise office with the SBDC. And kind of tell people, give them an idea of what you're going to be talking about here in just an hour.
Okay, good. So it's just the changes. I'm not going to go back over all the original programs. There's just no time. The orientation of the webinars that we've been doing on a state level is to make sure you walk away with as many of your questions answered as possible. So only, I roll through these programs as fast as I can, get the floor open for questions. We're going to be talking about anything for small business and the Economic Aid Act. So it's PPP, to any changes to PPP forgiveness, EIDL advances, shuttered venue operator grants, pandemic unemployment assistance, SBA debt repayments, the FFCRA, which is the Family First Coronavirus Response Act, and we have a special guest on revolving loan funds that have been changed and are very interesting, actually, from the CARES Act. So we should be able to get through all of those programs as much as we know and as quickly as possible.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Ruth, for joining us today. When I say that she's a genius with the PPP and EIDL and all these things that she just went through that she's going to be talking about at her 2 o'clock call, absolutely phenomenal that the information that you were able to give to us today. And hopefully we've helped some businesses throughout the state of Idaho to learn more of what they can do to grow their business here in 2021. So thank you very much, Ruth, and good luck with your 2 o'clock. Last week she had, I think, over 350 people on her webinar. That's how impactful she is with the SBDC and the state of Idaho in being knowledgeable about this. So we thank you, Ruth, for your time. Congratulations on your state star. You absolutely deserved it, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule today to be with us today.
One quick thing, Ruth. I know there's a few people that wanted to hear your webinar today that have made comment of how do I see that if I can't make it. Are the past webinars available? And if so, we can get that information and post it up as well.
Yes, we will email after every webinar a recording of that webinar along with other links and information that come up during that. I'm not sure where they're posted right now, but go ahead and sign. And if you can't make it, you'll automatically get the replay.
And we were asked to give the code for someone that couldn't see it on the screen. So let me just read it.
Well, they're putting it up.
Oh, they are putting it up. Okay.
Yep.
So we'll put that in the chat. There it is, right there in the chat options. So if you didn't get that, it's in the chat. And we appreciate your time and wish you the best, Ruth, and appreciate you joining us from Boise.
So.
All right. Well, good luck with the virtual lunch hours. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ruth.
Okay.
All right, let's revisit, just kind of wrap a couple things up here. We talked about this online marketing class starting February 3rd. It's every Wednesday in the month of March, in the month of February. And I've got $50 gift certificate to off this class. So the class is $149, so you'll actually get the class for $99. So anybody that would be interested in this online marketing class provided by the SBDC and the Idaho Innovation Center, there's a company that's going to be running it. It's Ryan with Vulpine Marketing. And if you go to his website, there's an animal on his website. So the first person to go there and put it in the chat box, there's an animal. It kind of gives it away with his name.
Vulpine is a clue.
It might be a clue. So if you go there, then you'll be getting the $50 off scholarship to the online marketing class starting in February.
Yep. Now, my favorite part, unless there's anything else, my favorite part is just we're going to be able to see Andy Crossman, owner of Journeys and Has, which is a great business that he's got running. We have a video of me and him and my bug.
Business in the bug,
just shooting the bull. And so we'd love to have you stay on and
join
watch
us next
that
week.
as well.
We'll be talking about marketing. We'll be on next Tuesday, same place, same time.
That's right.
Virtual Power Lunch. Take it away, Andy.
Hey, Tyler Price here with the Small Business Development Center and Talkin-Business. Today, I've got Andy Crossman in my 67 Bug. We're going to cruise around and talk shop. But Andy is the owner of Journeys and Has here in eastern Idaho, and you go a little further than just Idaho, though, don't you?
Yeah, we're kind of spread out throughout the state. With Has, we're all the way to Boise. Journeys is all the way to Twin Falls, and just happy to be helping people here in our community.
Well, great. Well, we'll start up and we'll drive around and talk, but
let's do it.
What do you guys do?
So perfect. So we're developmental disability services. So Has does residential care, where we help people find housing and provide support for them there in their homes. And at Journeys, we're day treatment. So we help both kids and adults within our facilities. And then we also do vocational services, where we help people with disabilities get jobs.
Yeah. So, and that's great. I know at Austin Cade Academy is a business I own, and we have maybe one of your clients that works there, does a great job at our facility. So we appreciate that. And she loves it, and she loves earning her money and everything like that. So
perfect. And we appreciate business owners like you here in the community. We live in such a great community where people have been supportive of us and love giving our clients a chance, and they can see how having one of our clients increases morale. They're fun to have around, and they do a good job.
Yeah. No, she's amazing. We love her, and she's been with us for a few years now. But how did you get involved?
Well, Bert, I'm glad you asked. So my older brother is developmentally disabled, has a seizure disorder, a behavioral disorder, and so I was able to help care for him growing up. I came here to East Idaho to go to school, and my first job was at Journeys.
Yeah.
I did a stint in the car business for about 8 years, and decided that, man, Journeys was the place for me. It was the right fit. Ran it for 10 years, and then last year my wife and I were able to purchase it.
Wow. That's exciting.
Yeah.
And I know the answer to this, but what's it like working with your wife?
Oh, man. It's good. Thankfully, she does most of the work from home, and I'm able to escape and come to the office. That's how she wants it.
Yeah. No, I love working with my wife, but there are times where we take separate vacations, let's say that. So.
I get it.
Well, and so you got into it as an employee, bought it out.
Yep.
And what's your bigger vision moving forward with it then?
Well, that's great. So we talk a lot that we don't need more work, right? But we found that there are lots of people that can benefit from our services. So we've been able to grow here in eastern Idaho. There's been a lot of talks lately about, what's next for us. Is it expanding our service array? Is it focusing just on our home base here? Or even things like Twin Falls or Boise?
Yeah. And okay, so Journeys, one of the things Journeys is doing is like actually getting people out, meeting together, doing things like that.
Yeah.
So COVID had to wreck that just a little bit. What's
Oh
it been
my
like
gosh.
with this? Because we, as business owners, you don't always think of what catastrophe might I face, because this one threw us all for a loop.
Yeah.
But what's it been like, and what pivots have you had to make, all that?
Yeah, so our service model is literally congregate settings for vulnerable adults.
Yeah.
So it's been tricky this year, but really we found that this is the year that our clients needed us and needed normalcy more than ever.
Yeah.
So we've made sure that while we take all the proper precautions and safety measures, we show up every day for them and work harder than ever for them.
Yeah.
Now that means less time in the community, it means smaller groups, it means, those extra protocols. But yeah, we're definitely still there, and we're happy to be there for our clients during this tough time.
And those clients look forward to those types of get-togethers.
Absolutely.
So was there a time where you were just like, we can't even meet?
Yeah, so the state shut us down for about 5 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And you know how my anxiety has skyrocketed through the roof, but as we serve people with disabilities and with anxiety disorders, it's been tough, and boy, were they excited to come back.
Yeah, I bet. So did you put the plan together then to say, hey, we're coming back and this is what we're doing, or was there an agency that said this is what you have to do? Or?
So we are primarily Medicaid funded. They made many of those larger decisions for us, and then we got together with our team and said, hey, how do we do this? And spoke to many of our stakeholders. Our parents saw that everybody was rallying around us, and we said, yeah, we're ready to open back up. Let's do this.
Yeah, no, and that's great. With that, PPP and EIDL and all those types of things that were out there that really helped. I'm not always a fan of government projects like that, but in this case, it's kind of like, I think they saved a lot of businesses. Was that something that you benefited from?
It was clutch for us. We employ about 800 people between the two companies, and we need to take care of our employees too during this time. And we've not only been able to keep basically all of our employees, but also give most of them raises.
Wow.
We were able to increase wages and be able to reach out to support them in new ways because of those programs.
Right. So what's maybe some of your more memorable, funny stories that you have as you're working with clients?
Oh my gosh, we have so many great times. The big thing is we get to see miracles every day.
Yeah.
We see things every day that doctors and teachers and parents never thought were possible. We also see lots of those tender moments of somebody getting their first paycheck.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Kids just reaching these milestones for the first time in their life. And with that comes so many great comments, so many great experiences, so many funny questions, all the tough behaviors and all the challenges too. But oh man, every day will put a smile on your face. Lots of stresses, but man, so many great experiences that we've had over the years.
Yeah. No, that truly is amazing. I could only imagine. I remember the first time I got a paycheck, and it was probably for like $100, and I was just like, woohoo!
Right?
And all the things I was going to buy with it, I think it was probably spent before I even got it to the bank. But but no, that's truly amazing. It does take a unique person to kind of work with your client, though. Is that fair? And
we have one of those bless your heart jobs, right? When they hear what we're doing, we always hear, oh, bless your heart.
Yeah.
But it's fun, it's interesting, and we literally get to change people's lives every day.
And age group wise, what ages are you working with?
Sure. So at Journeys, the kids are 3 to 18.
Yeah.
They can even stay in it up to 21, though most of them transition to the adult program.
Right.
So adult program's 18 and up. HAS is 18 and up, and then for vocational, it's 16 and older.
And so it's basically 3 to 18, but HAS deals with them for their whole life?
Yeah, so they can get residential after 18, and many of them stay in the program. Though through Journeys and HAS, we have a lot of our clients are able to graduate out that no longer need that level of support anymore.
And so then they're high functioning or they're out there living their life just like anybody else.
Yeah,
so
have either more natural or just more natural supports in their life, and they're able to live at a higher level of independence. And isn't that what we all want for ourselves and for our kids?
I'm like, well, my kids have been pretty good, but there's definitely times where I'm like, you need to figure this thing out. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and then it's a big dream, or I guess what's kind of your why as to getting into this? I mean, you kind of mentioned your brother, but then you stuck around. So what's the thing that kind of gets you jazzed about working with the people that you're working with?
Perfect. So I love seeing increased level of acceptance and inclusion, and our community's been so good at wrapping their arms around our clients. Seeing their independence grow is always really great. And this sounds weird, but my favorite thing about our job that we do here is I love seeing how it changes our staff,
right? How
it changes our community. You can't be a part of a place like Journeys and have it not change you.
Yeah. No, I bet. I mean, it's rewarding and frustrating and fun and maybe even scary at times.
And you go home and you're a better husband. You're a better father. You're a better person because you have to give yourself in order to come do what we do.
Yeah, that's great. So in terms of companies that help support you, are there specific ones that, and I don't know that you can mention, but are there specific companies or specific jobs that your clients excel in? Or?
Oh my God, I fear if I started down the list of businesses, I would forget somebody. But you'll see, man, we are at literally hundreds of places here throughout. We do really well at those repetitive tasks, right? We do really well in laundry and hotels. We do really good at lobby attendance and things for the traditional Journeys clients. What most people don't know about what we do, though, is we serve people with all sorts of functioning levels and disabilities and ages. We help with professional placements too. We help lots of people get $60,000 or $70,000 a year job too that just need somebody to kind of open the door and start the conversation.
Right.
So I know right now we're all struggling for staff. The labor market's tough. I think most employers would be surprised at how somebody with a disability could fill that void for them.
Yeah. So then if somebody wanted to get in contact with you to talk about maybe a family member or just your services, or employers looking for people, how do they get in contact with you guys?
Absolutely. So if you go to journeysdda.com, that's our website. It's my cell phone number that's on that site. I want people to reach out to me. I want to be accessible to people. Let me know. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere where you can find us. We've got facilities from Twin Falls to Rexburg. But really, most people are surprised at how easy the process is, and at how much help they can get.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is kind of the segment. You're the first. You're the first one. We did have one this last week, but the bug was in the shop, so we did it live. So I got to take my buddy that came and joined out for driving around with the bug. So you feel the heaters working, right?
This is awesome.
Actually it'll start working really too well here shortly. But
fantastic.
No, I appreciate you taking time out of your day on a Friday and driving around with me. So check out Journeys, check out Has if you have a need there, and employers looking for good people to come in and do work. Let's help out, right?
Absolutely, let's do it. And anytime you want to talk business or cars.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, got a 280Z that I was coveting a picture of. That was pretty cool. So
old cars are great.
Yeah, they are. All right. Have a great day, and thanks for joining us.